One Piece chapter 1159 just came out, and it is probably one of the best chapters that we've had in a long time. The narrator really was not lying when he said that everybody is at God Valley. So I'm excited to go through it all with you guys here, and I don't want to waste any time, so let's just get right into it. So Shaki was kidnapped, we learned in the beginning of this chapter, and then later on in the chapter we learned that it was the world government. So Shaki gets kidnapped, and what's crazy about her getting kidnapped is, first off, is that Roger is like upset about it, like about Rocks, saying like, "Oh, Rocks, how could you let this happen?" So he's upset at Rocks, and that's part of the reason why he's going to God Valley. Really, it's actually his only reason why he's going to God Valley. So there's that. And then also Shaki's disappearance caused the entire like world economy to like stop for a little bit. So that's kind of crazy that she has that much emotion. So that's how the chapter kicks off. We cut over to God Valley, and we see here that Garling is visiting his the mother of his children, and his children, of course, being Shanks and Shamrock. And in true world government fashion, he just straight up smokes her, just straight up kills Shanks and Shamrock's mother without like a moment of hesitation. So not really surprising from somebody coming, out of the world government, but kind of sad to see. The island begins to be being taken over by the Marines because God Valley is going to be the next place for the world's government's hunt. So they're going to like hunt all the civilians or whatever, and they got a bunch of prizes. Some of those prizes are devil fruits, and that's what's going on. So the Marines are going around with non-lethal weapons, and they're capturing up all of the civilians. And one of the Marines that we see here capturing up all the civilians is none other than Monkey D. Dragon. So it looks like at some point he tried to follow in his father's footsteps. He tried to follow in Garp's footsteps, but even right now in this chapter, he's questioning, like, this seems wrong. We're the Marines. These are normal people. They didn't do anything. So this could potentially be, the turning point for Dragon, or perhaps this is just like, the beginning of it. Who knows where we are? We don't know yet. But even here, we see that Dragon is already having doubts about his actions. One of the interesting things here, of course, is that Dragon's on God Valley. So is Ivankov, so is Kuma, and so is Jenny. So is this the first time, are they going to meet here? Are they going to run into each other? Is this going to be, kind of like the beginning of what would eventually become the Revolutionary Army? Is he going to defect here? Really excited to see where this goes. And I think Oda is really setting up Dragon here for a really good character arc if he decides to explore it. That is, of course, we know how Oda is, but I'm really excited to see where Dragon goes. He's probably one of the few characters left that I'm the most interested in learning about. So I don't know if I mentioned it, but the reason Shaki has been kidnapped by the world government is because she is going to be like the grand prize of the hunt. So whoever wins, they get to claim Shaki as like a wife or a slave. So again, really horrible, really deplorable stuff. But since this is announced, the whole world, or not the whole world, but because a lot of the pirates get notice of it, they get wind of it. And so Rocks is actually on his way to God Valley. One of the more interesting things that we see here is Big Mom is apparently has a list of all the devil fruits that they're offering at the hunt at God Valley. And she even mentions to Kaido that some of these fruits would be good for Kaido if he wants one. And she also mentions how some of the fruits would be perfect for her children. And when you think about it, it's kind of interesting because she gave she gave Kaido the dragon fruit and told him to eat it because he was gonna die. But like, why didn't you give him another fruit and give one of your kids the dragon fruit? But instead, she gave her kids like the mochi fruit, or like, the heat fruit, or the mirror fruit, or like whatever. So at this point, Roger, Rocks, and Garp, actually, they're all going to converge on God Valley. Garp's, of course, going there on behalf of the world government to protect them, and I'm going to get into Garp in a second. So on the way there, Rocks runs into Harold, and Harold is, of course, trying to kill Rocks on behalf of the world government so that Elbaf can be accepted, into the world government and all that stuff. And part of their conversation, Rocks tells Harold, like, hey, like, I have my 2-year-old son and the mother of him on God Valley, and so I'm heading there because I want to protect my family. Like, I don't care about anything else. I don't care about the prizes. I'm not going to get Shaki. I'm going to protect my family. And Harold is just like, no, I'm not going to help you. And not even am I not going to help you. He says, I'm going to sink you right here and now. So it's just like Harold, what are we doing? Like, it's one thing, like, just kill him after. Do you know what I mean? Like, if this is the decision you've come to, sure, whatever. But the man's just like, hey, let me save my innocent wife and son. And you're just like, sorry, bro, I can't let you do that. Like, what is going on here? So kind of disappointed in Harold for even like attempting this. And then the chapter ends. They talk about Shocky. She's the prize. Interestingly enough, Garling is looking to make Shocky his wife, so he'll be competing in it. And then right coming up to the end of the chapter, we see Dragon, right, Monkey D. Dragon. He comes into like this storage room kind of thing, and he is talking to what I am assuming to be Shanks and Shamrock's mother, because she is saying to Dragon, my kids, you have to get them off the island, and to don't let him, which I'm assuming is Garling, don't let him take them. This is also probably something that's going to further radicalize Dragon away from the Marines and away from the world government and towards becoming a revolutionary, because here he runs into this poor woman who's been stabbed, she's bleeding to death, and all she cares about is saving her children. We also see a young Blackbeard, a young Mr. Marshall D. Teach. He's with his mother, whose face that we don't see, but she's there consoling him, telling him that everything's going to be okay. And the very last panel mentioned how they have somebody, a member of the Davy clan, and they're going to be a part of the hunt. So presumably, this actually might be why Garling was saying that he found something that Emu will be pleased about, and it's because they found a member of the Davy clan. And this makes a lot more sense than a material item, because at first I was thinking like it could be a devil fruit, but not really, because Emu probably doesn't need any devil fruit that's out there. It could be Uranus to ancient weapon, but I don't see why they would wait. They would wait until the next hunt, like 2 or 3 years later. If it was something that big, they would probably just go for it. I don't think Emu cares about Shocky, so this is probably what it is. It is probably the members of the Davy clan who perhaps Emu just doesn't like. Perhaps they're like lifelong, like rivals, because Emu's probably immortal. So perhaps this clan he just has beef with, and that makes a lot more sense now in my head. So like I said, that's the end of the chapter, and a couple more things that I want to speak about here, a couple things that I thought about as I was going through these pages and connecting some dots. First off is that Oda is writing Rox in a way to where for us to like him. At least I like him. Right now he's a pirate, and I'm sure he's gone around and he's killed some innocent people, but from what's been presented to us, Rox is a fairly likable person, and dare I even say he's been portrayed better than Roger so far. What we've seen from Roger, he's just been kind of like lusting over Shocky, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all we've seen from him so far in this flashback. No crazy feats or anything like that, but we've seen Rox clash with Harold, and they've been fighting, and we've seen his influence on Loki, and all this other stuff, right? Like, Rox just seems like, now we learned about his family. Rox just has much more going for him in this backstory, and Oda, I think he's writing him in a way for us to like him. And so one of the things that's confusing me is, we know the story that's told, at least, is that Roger and Garp had to team up to take down Rox on God Valley, right? That's the story that's told. And so I'm sitting here and I'm reading, and I'm like, why on earth, in this situation so far, everything that we know is Roger fighting Rox. We know why Garp is fighting Rox, because Garp is a dog of the world government, and he's going to do everything he can to protect them lobster-eating, slave-owning, incestuous ass celestial dragons, because that's just what he does. But I can't for the life of me understand why Roger would want to fight Rox. And it can't be over Shocky, right? Like in this situation, like there's like if he's fighting Rox because Rox lost Shocky or whatever, I think that would probably be the most ridiculous thing ever, and would be really like destructive to his character. So then I started thinking, what if Emu shows up on God Valley? Right? And this is entirely possible because Garling said that whatever's going on here, Emu will be pleased. So I don't think it's far-fetched. And I think we also saw that Gunko was here in the other one, right? So I don't think it's entirely far-fetched to assume that Emu will make an appearance. We saw that Emu kind of came out through Gunko on Elbaf. So I don't think it's entirely ridiculous to say that there is a very real chance that Emu will appear here on God Valley. And if that is the case, then I think it makes a lot more sense that Roger gets hit with the like Othello reversey thing, the domino reversey, and then Roger is forced to fight on behalf of the world government. Now maybe Roger isn't the one that gets like domino reversied, maybe it's Rox that gets reversied, and then Roger's just like, okay, well now you've turned it to this demon thing, and you weren't really the reason why I was here, but now you're just kind of like fucking everything up. So like me and Garp, although we're enemies, like you're like the greater evil in this present moment. So it could go that way, where Rox is reversied, or perhaps Roger is reversied, and then he's forced to fight on behalf of the world government. And I gotta say, I'm really disappointed in Garp here. I mean, we've known how he is. Luffy doesn't want to be a Marine. Dragon doesn't want to be a Marine. So he's just, the one out of the family that is. And we know the evils of the world government. But I think up until this point, we could kind of, there was a chance that perhaps Garp just didn't know to the full extent of what the world government is really capable of, right? Because by and large, the Marines, do protect people, right? Like by and large, the Marines do save people from pirates, because most pirates are, the plunder and kill and, take all their shit. Most pirates are those pirates, right? Most pirates aren't Luffy. So like I get why Garp thinks he's doing a good thing, but if Garp is going to come here on God Valley, and if this is as intense or as crazy as I'm thinking it's going to be, there is absolutely no way that that this occurs, that the institution that you work for hunts down and just kills innocent people for sport, will kidnap a woman and just sell her away and treat her like a prize. You know what I mean? Maybe he knows what happened at Ohara. Like I said, I think if Imu shows up and shows his power, Garp is going to be witness to that too. And I think with every subsequent chapter so far, this backstory, I think it gets harder and harder to be a Garp defender, because it's just like, what are we doing? And one of the things I completely skipped over on accident was that Rox tells Harold in their conversation that he has a hidden name, and that is Davy D. Zebek. So he's not really Rox, his name is Davy D. Zebek, and that the government gave him the name Rox, probably. Just how they kind of changed Gold D. Roger to Gold Roger, who knows? But basically, his real name's not Rox, it's Davy D. Zebek, and he's related to Davy Jones, or who's actually Davy D. Jones, and he is also apparently a legendary pirate. We know a little bit about Davy Jones. I believe it was Robin who spoke to Chopper about it, how, of course, Davy Jones' locker at the bottom of the sea, and he takes all the pirates' gold who sank ships and all that other stuff. And now that we know his name is Davy D. Jones, we can actually put two and two together and say that, oh, it is probably this pirate. Perhaps he's the reason why devil fruit users can't swim, right? Perhaps it's connected to him in some way. Perhaps it's not really a hatred of the ocean. Perhaps it's, Davy Jones doing something. Or perhaps maybe Davy Jones is somehow, in the first devil fruit user, or was involved in the creation of devil fruits in some way. And since he's at the bottom of the ocean, perhaps that's just like a result of the fruit. I have no idea, but I think they're connected in some way. I'm just not good at connecting the dots, but I'm sure somebody else will. Rox says here that the name Davy D. Jones still commands some influence in the underworld, but how it's scraping by and it's not really as strong as it used to be, which is interesting. And I wonder if we'll ever get to see, how the name Davy D. Jones, what it's like in the underworld today. We don't ever get to see much of the underworld, so I really doubt it. But it would have been nice. That's basically all I have to say for now for this video. Again, really, really good chapter. 10 out of 10. Probably one of the best ones that we're going to get this year, but I don't want to say that because I have a feeling that the next 5 or 10 that Oda's about to drop for the rest of the year are probably also going to be really, really good. So phenomenal chapter. Really good. Glad I got to talk about it with you guys. Fuck Garp. Fuck Harold. And that's it.